about the importance of striking a balance between the important aspects of body, mind, and spirit. These three components are not the same in everybody, and they change through the different stages of life. As I pointed out, a young person is most often not very spiritual. They're focused on their body, and a middle-aged person often focuses on their mind, which includes pursuits of the mind, such as career, family, and material pursuits. Spirituality can become important to a person as they grow older, although, in my view, it should be part of everybody's life. Failure to strike a balance between these three forces causes a person to compensate, usually by pursuing one of the other two, because they feel something's missing in life. Today I want to look at how loving others and loving yourself is an integral part of a healthy balance between body, mind, and spirit. There's often a difference between what we may seem to enjoy in life and what truly makes us feel a sense of happiness and wholeness. And so I give an example of smoking. People might like to smoke, but smoking really doesn't make anyone happy because we all know the ill effects that smoking can bring to our body and to our ability to enjoy life. What about when we love others? Well, this is certainly a potential source of happiness, and it is an important part of spiritual wholeness. Loving others and helping others is very, very important. Hence comes the adage, it is better to give than to receive. There's no question that when we do things for other people, we feel good about it, and it generally gives us a sense of wholesome happiness. A very good friend of mine who passed away from cancer many years ago used to often make a statement to me. Chris, he would say, there's only two kinds of people in the world, those who take and those who give. And it's not very difficult to distinguish between the two. Well, perhaps there are more than just these two kinds of people, but I believe that my friend offered a truism. It's easy to identify givers and takers in the world. I believe that's also easy to see that takers are generally selfish people who never seem to experience what is termed wholesome happiness. They can't. They're always looking out for their own interests and no one else's. Most often they have a very overdeveloped sense of entitlement. What's in it for me is the slogan by which they live. There's certainly no balance in these people between body, mind, and spirit. And most often these people always feel that they are victimized. That's others who get all the breaks, not them. I'm not a fan of talk show television, but one of my coworkers once described an Oprah Winfrey show where Oprah was interviewing a number of lottery winners. The common topic between all these lottery winners was that they were all being sued by family members, neighbors, and even fellow employees who believed that the winner owed them a part of their lottery winnings just because they knew them. Pathetic? Yes. But I think this sense of entitlement pervades, unfortunately, American society and other societies in the world too. It isn't just us. The abject failures in parts of the welfare system and even the Medicaid system are directly related to people whose greed and sense of entitlement have placed demands on these systems that were never expected when these systems were developed. I have a friend who is a nurse, and she basically had a very liberal outlook in life, and most of her patients were Medicaid patients, and she said a good chunk of them are demanding and mean people, that you owe me this because I'm entitled to it. Very sad, and it's kind of her changed, unfortunately, it's had a negative impact on her view of humanity. The business of law in the United States has mushroomed in part due to greed and an ever-expanding sense of entitlement. If something bad happens to me, somebody owes me something. When I was in seminary in California, one of the more common TV ads featured a man sitting on a beach drinking one of those drinks with an umbrella in it. And he said, I was in an accident and it was my fault and I still got $500,000. So call the law firm of Smith & Smith or whatever it was. That was the ad. The bottom line is that selfish behavior and constant action to seek personal gain cannot enable us to experience a sense of happiness. Beyond the ethical considerations of giving to others, religions of the world emphasize giving because they know that giving to others is a way to connect with others, a way to connect with the sacred, a way to emulate God's love, and develop a feeling of what Unitarian Universalists call the interconnected web of all existence. We are indeed connected. Doing so can help us experience wholesome happiness. American culture is oriented in large measure around Judeo-Christian values, and both of these religions stress the importance of trying to reach out and solve the problems of the world. The gospel message is quite clear in this regard. It espouses the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. This is a message that Jesus often preached because he was a Jew. Born a Jew, raised a Jew, died a Jew, never not a Jew. And it's in Jewish law. It wasn't created in Christianity, it's in the Torah. It's in the book of Leviticus. Love your neighbor as you would have them love you. Frankly, the best of Christianity is replete with a message of caring and sharing with others. The rise of the social gospel movement in the 19th century is completely oriented around loving our brother and sister human beings. The movement was and is responsible for the creation of numerous charitable organizations around the world. But the gospel message also contains a radical suggestion offered by Jesus to the rich young man. It's in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 10, verse 17. And it basically says, a rich man asked Jesus what he should do to inherit eternal life. And Jesus tells him to give away all that he owns and follow him. Apparently, this message of Jesus seemed to be to give away everything to others. Is this possible? Is it the right thing to do? Will such an action truly solve all the problems of the world? Will it lead us to a sense of wholesome happiness? Before considering this, let's look at a few other points first. It's important to emphasize that Christianity and Judaism do not hold the monopoly in the call for people to love their brother and sister human beings. In fact, there is a strong message of compassionate action in every one of the world's religions. One of the most basic tenets of Islam, for example, is the command to contribute a substantial amount of one's personal income to supporting the poor and needy. In today's terms, this is considered 10% by Muslims. One's not considered a good Muslim if you don't do that. You have to give to charity. It's one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Hinduism also calls for loving brother and sister human beings. One Hindu practice for achieving personal salvation and spiritual enlightenment is entirely oriented around serving other people. It's known as Bhakti Yoga, the way of love. Likewise, Buddhism is full of messages of love and compassion. The form of Buddhism having the largest number of adherents is known as Mahayana Buddhism. And the Mahayana teachings are centered around the notion that spiritual enlightenment can be achieved by care and compassion to other people and to all living things. And certainly non-religious but ethical people emphasize the need to solve the world's problems by helping our brother and sister human beings. The point is that most human beings intuitively know they should give and care for others. They know that giving generates a wholesome sense of happiness. Still, many of us don't try to help others in the ways we can. Why? As we noted before, selfishness and greed are often obstacles to giving, but there's other reasons as well. One reason is that merely trying to help others, trying to alleviate misery and suffering, can cause us to feel the pain in the world and in others. Seeing others in pain can cause humans to emotionally shut down. When we do this, we build walls of denial around us so that we don't have to care. So I submit that many people do not give to others because merely the act of giving can overwhelm. How many times have you walked past a homeless person begging for money and felt a sense of guilt and turned and looked the other way? I certainly have. How many times have you read or heard charity appeals, one after the other, and felt a sense of overwhelmed frustration and had a sense of powerlessness? I certainly have. In truth, there's a great need for each of us to help solve the problems of the world and to love others. It is truly a road to spiritual happiness. But just how far should we go? Should we follow the suggestion that Jesus gave to the rich young man? Should we agree with the extreme Buddhist and Hindu message that possessing anything is an impediment to spiritual enlightenment? Should we give away everything that we have? Why should you or I have anything when others have nothing? After all, as long as we possess any material thing, we are better off than some other human being in the world. Since I recognize the absolute importance of loving others, I've agonized over these kinds of questions many times throughout my life. But I submit that taking the message of loving others to the extreme is a formula for personal disaster. And giving too much of oneself to others can come in other forms between monetary and financial. Some people feel obligated to give their entire self away emotionally. Some people feel the need to become completely immersed in other people's problems as well. Some people feel that in relationship with others, they should always give and never receive. In my opinion, all these actions are formulas for personal destruction. Is then the caring and sharing messages of the Gospels, the Torah, the Quran, the Buddhist sutras, and the Hindu Upanishads, and other sacred scriptures, is their message to love others in such an extreme manner that we give away everything? I don't think so. Consider the times in your life when you have personally given too much of yourself to a person or persons, to a job, to a cause, to anything. What has been the result? Wholesome happiness, a feeling of spiritual connection? Not very likely. Or think of someone whom you know or admire who's done this. What has happened to them? Have they felt a sense of empowerment, a sense of peace? I doubt it. Frankly, the result of giving away too much of oneself in any form most often results in despair and brokenness and disempowerment. There's another problem when we consider loving others and helping heal the problems of the world. Like everything else we humans do, most of us compare ourselves to other people. In the regard to caring and sharing, we ask ourselves impossible questions. Why should I retain my vanity and conceits and love of worldly things? Other human beings such as Mother Teresa and Gandhi and Martin Luther King, the Buddha, Jesus, so many others, to name just a few, have pushed aside human arrogance and selfishness. In their place, they create models of human compassion and love for others that seem so exemplary and worthy of emulation. Why can't I be like them? Why can't I do more to give to other people? I believe that questioning of oneself like this is disempowering and it's destructive. Despite rhetoric to the contrary, human beings are not equal. I'm not the same as you. I have strengths and weaknesses that are different than yours. We are not the same. And this relates to our ability to care and to share with our brother and sister human beings. We may not be able to become who our heroes of compassion are, but this does not mean we should not try to emulate them and be like them with regard to loving and caring for others. This doesn't mean we shouldn't try. Loving others and doing things for other people can lead us to wholesome happiness, to a sense of connection, to spiritual enlightenment. It is an important part of the balance between body and mind and spirit. So the question is, should I give? To what extent should I love others? I believe that the answer to these questions lies in balance, in harmony. Eastern philosophy and religion have been teaching us this for thousands of years. Taoism talks of this. Buddhism talks of this. The message of the middle way, the path between asceticism and overindulgence. I believe that this directly applies to how we should live our lives in relation to others, and on how we should fulfill that gospel message of doing to others as we would have them do unto us. By all means, give to others. By all means, care for others. By all means, love others, but love yourself in the process. Challenge yourself, yes. Question yourself, yes. Wonder always if you are truly loving others and using all of your abilities and talents and resources to relieve the pain and suffering that grip our world. But also try to find and experience the joy and happiness that can be found in the world. Do things that make you happy. It's okay that you have material things that give you joy. It's okay that you have financial comfort that others don't have. But remember, it's a balance. Don't worship those things. The fact is that those who glorify their unremitting contribution to others in whatever form, without considering their own needs, are committing nothing but another form of idolatry. Lack of love and care for oneself can be as harmful and immoral as complete selfishness and lack of concern for others, because such action dishonors the sacredness of your being. We come back to the idea of balance, of harmony. When a person focuses all or most of their efforts on selfish pursuits, there's disharmony and there's no love. When a person focuses all or most of their efforts on only caring for others, self-destruction and dysfunction are the inevitable result. Don't judge yourself by the standards of others. Judge yourself by your own standards and of what you are capable of doing. And when you do this, be honest. Be very honest with yourself. Give to others and love others, but give to yourself and love yourself as well. It's a curious thing that when a person lives with such a balance, they are greatly empowered, and they're actually able to do more for others anyway because they feel happy. Striking a balance between loving yourself and loving others is very much a part of a healthy body, mind, and spirit. Peace be with you. Our closing hymn is This Little Light of Mine. It's on the, is it on the